Hello everyone. Before we start, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with where you're from and what time you're watching. That way, YouTube will keep showing you stories just like this one. Now, let's begin. I never thought sleeping in my car would be the most terrifying night of my life. I was driving cross-country from California to North Carolina. A fresh start, a new job, a chance to leave everything behind. By the time I hit Arizona, I'd been on the road for almost 16 hours straight. My eyes were burning. My hands were cramping on the wheel. I needed to stop. It was just past midnight when I saw the Walmart sign glowing blue against the black desert sky outside Flagstaff. I'd heard other road trippers talk about this, sleeping in Walmart parking lots. They're open 24 hours. Well lit. Safe. Or at least that's what I thought. The lot was mostly empty when I pulled in. A few RVs clustered together near the garden center entrance, probably retirees doing the same cross-country thing I was. One sedan parked about 50 feet away from where I chose my spot. I purposely pulled under one of the tall light poles. I wanted visibility. I wanted to feel safe. I locked all 4 doors, checked them twice, reclined the driver's seat back as far as it would go, pulled my jacket over my shoulders like a blanket, and closed my eyes. The hum of the highway in the distance was almost soothing. I thought I'd fall asleep easy. I was wrong. I don't know how long I'd been asleep when the first knock came. It was soft, almost polite. Tap, tap, tap on the driver's side window, right next to my head. I didn't open my eyes right away. I was still half asleep, my brain trying to convince me I'd imagined it. Maybe it was a branch, maybe it was nothing, but we were in a parking lot. There were no trees. Then it came again. Harder this time. Knock, knock, knock. My eyes snapped open, but I didn't move, didn't turn my head. Through my half-closed lids, I could see a shape standing outside my window. Dark, tall, just standing there, inches from the glass. My heart started pounding so hard, I thought whoever it was could hear it. I stayed perfectly still, didn't breathe, didn't move. I just kept my eyes barely open, watching through my lashes as the shape stood there. Waiting. Then it moved. Slow footsteps on asphalt. The figure walked from the driver's side to the front of my car, then around to the passenger side. I heard the crunch of gravel under shoes. Another knock on the passenger window. Knock, knock, knock. Same rhythm, same intensity. I didn't respond. My hands were clenched into fists under my jacket, nails digging into my palms. The figure continued around to the back of the car. I couldn't see it anymore, but I could hear it. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Then it was at the back driver's side. Another knock on that window, and then I heard it. The sound that made my blood turn to ice. The door handle. Someone was trying the door handle. A slow testing pull. Once, twice. The lock held. The figure moved to the back passenger door. Click, click. Testing that handle too. Locked. It completed a full circle around my car. Every door, every handle. Checking. Then it stopped at the driver's window again, right next to my head, and it just stood there. I could hear breathing. Not heavy, not labored. Just steady, quiet breathing, like whoever it was completely calm. Patient. I don't know how long it stood there. It felt like hours. It was probably 10 minutes. My muscles were screaming from staying so rigid, so still. My lungs were burning because I was barely breathing. Then, finally, the footsteps moved away. I cracked my eyes open wider, just enough to see the rearview mirror. The shape was walking across the parking lot. Toward the other sedan, the one I'd seen when I pulled in. My stomach dropped. I watched in the mirror as the figure approached that car. Same slow walk, same methodical circling. I saw it knock on the driver's window, once, twice, then moved to the passenger side, testing the doors. And then the sedan's interior light flicked on. Someone was in that car. Someone else had been sleeping in their car, just like me. And they'd just woken up to the same nightmare. But here's the thing that still haunts me. The moment that light came on, the figure stopped. Immediately. It didn't knock again, didn't test the doors. It just turned and walked away, disappearing into the darkness behind the Walmart, toward the loading docks and dumpsters. I didn't sleep after that. I couldn't. I sat there with my hand on my keys, eyes glued to the mirrors, watching the parking lot, watching the shadows, waiting for the figure to come back. The RVs never stirred. The Walmart stayed bright and oblivious, and that other sedan, its interior light stayed on for a while, then went dark again. Neither of us got out of our cars. Neither of us went for help. What would we even say? Someone knocked on my window. Someone tested my door handles. It sounds crazy when you say it out loud, but in that moment, in that darkness, it was the most terrifying thing I'd ever experienced. I watched the sky slowly turn from black to deep purple to gray. When the first hint of sunrise touched the horizon, I started my car. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely turn the key. As I pulled out of the spot, I glanced in my rearview mirror. The other sedan was moving too. An older man, maybe in his 60s, white-knuckling his steering wheel. Our eyes met for just a second in the dim light. We both knew. We both understood. We both got the hell out of there. I merged back onto I-40, hands still trembling, and drove for another hour before I even thought about stopping again. This time, I pulled into a busy truck stop, parked right in front of the main building, surrounded by people and light and noise. That's when I noticed it. I'd gotten out to stretch, to shake off the adrenaline, and I walked around to the passenger side of my car. And there it was. A small, dirty handprint on my passenger window from the outside, smudged and dark, like it had been there for a while, like someone had pressed their palm against the glass and held it there. I hadn't noticed it in the dark, hadn't seen it when the figure was circling my car, but it had been there. Right there. And I have no idea when it was made. I scrubbed that handprint off with window cleaner from the truck stop. Scrubbed until my arm hurt and the glass squeaked, but I can still see it sometimes. When the light hits the window just right, when I'm driving at night and the darkness presses in, I still see that handprint, and I still hear that breathing. Knock, knock, knock. I never slept in a parking lot again. If you're still listening, you probably enjoy stories like this. A like or a comment helps keep them alive. I've been a long-haul trucker for almost 12 years now. I've driven through every state in the lower 48. I've seen things on the road that would keep most people awake at night. Accidents, storms, people doing things they shouldn't be doing on the side of highways. But nothing prepared me for what happened on that service road in Nebraska. It was a Tuesday night in late September. I was hauling freight from Denver to Chicago, running an independent contractor, the kind of job where you're on your own schedule, your own rules, as long as the load gets there on time. I'd been driving for about 9 hours straight. It was just past 2 in the morning, and I was somewhere in western Nebraska. You know that stretch of I-80 where there's nothing but darkness and flat land for miles, where you can drive for an hour and not see another car. That's where I was. My eyes were getting heavy. I'd pushed it too far, and I knew it. You're supposed to rest after a certain number of hours. It's not just a rule. It's survival. Falling asleep at the wheel in an 18-wheeler can kill people. So when my GPS showed a rest area coming up in 2 miles, I took the exit. But here's the thing. There were no signs. Usually, rest areas are marked. Blue signs with symbols for restrooms, parking, maybe food. This exit had nothing. Just a dark ramp leading off into emptiness. I figured maybe it was an old rest stop. One of those forgotten places that used to be maintained but got left behind when they built newer facilities down the road. I was too tired to care. I just needed a place to park for a few hours. The service road curved through the darkness, no streetlights, no reflectors. Just my headlights cutting through the black. And then I saw it, a small unpaved lot with a single streetlight that wasn't even working. Just a dead bulb on a rusted pole. No bathroom facilities, no other trucks, no cars, just an empty lot surrounded by fields that stretched out into nothing. I should have kept driving. Every instinct told me this place was wrong. But I was exhausted. My body was shutting down. I backed my rig into the corner of the lot, killed the engine, and climbed into the sleeper cab. I set an alarm for 4 hours. That's all I needed. Just 4 hours of sleep. Then I'd get back on the road and hit a proper truck stop by morning. I was asleep within minutes. I don't know how long I'd been out when the rocking started. At first, I thought it was wind. Nebraska gets those prairie winds that can shake a trailer pretty good. But this was different. It was rhythmic, deliberate, like someone was pushing on the side of my trailer. I opened my eyes, staring at the ceiling of the cab, listening. The rocking stopped. Silence. Just the sound of my own breathing and the faint creak of the truck settling. Then it started again. Thud. 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 Someone was definitely pushing on the trailer. Hard. I sat up, pulled back the curtain and looked out the window. Nothing. Just darkness. The dead streetlight. Empty pavement. The rocking stopped again. I grabbed my flashlight from the side compartment, waited. My heart was pounding now, adrenaline cutting through the exhaustion. 5 minutes of silence. Then I heard them, footsteps, on gravel. Slow, crunching steps circling the truck. I shined my flashlight out the window, sweeping the beam across the lot, and I saw them, 3 figures, maybe 4, standing about 20 feet away. Just outside the edge of my light. Dark shapes, not moving, not speaking, just standing there, watching. My hand tightened on the flashlight. "Who's there?" I shouted through the glass. No response. The figures didn't move. I kept the light on them, my other hand reaching for my CB radio. That's when the radio crackled to life on its own. Static. Loud, harsh static. Then a voice. Distorted. Low. "You're not supposed to be here." I didn't respond, didn't touch the radio, just stared at it as more static filled the cab. The figures started moving. Slowly. Spreading out. Surrounding the truck. That's when I made my decision. I didn't care what they wanted. I didn't care if I was trespassing or if this was some kind of private property. I was getting the hell out. I threw myself into the driver's seat, fired up the engine. The diesel roared to life, loud and angry in the silence. I flipped on the headlights. The high beams flooded the lot, and the figures scattered. Like insects. Like they couldn't stand the light. They ran in different directions, disappearing into the darkness beyond the lot, into the fields. I didn't wait to see where they went. I threw the rig into gear, tires spitting gravel as I pulled out onto the service road. My heart was hammering. My hands were slick with sweat on the wheel. As I accelerated back toward the highway, my headlights swept across something I hadn't seen when I pulled in. A sign, old, wooden, barely standing. "Private property, no trespassing, violators will be prosecuted." And below it, spray painted in red. "They're watching." I didn't stop, didn't slow down. I merged back onto I-80 doing 70 and kept my foot on the gas for the next 3 hours. Didn't stop until I hit a massive truck stop outside of Lincoln, one with bright lights and dozens of other trucks and actual security guards. It was dawn by then. The sun was coming up, painting the sky orange and pink. Safe colors. Normal colors. I climbed out of the cab, legs shaking, and walked around my rig to check for damage. To see if those people, whoever they were, had done something to the trailer. Everything looked fine. No dents, no scratches, no damage. But then I saw them. Handprints. Dozens of them, all over the trailer doors, smudged and dirty, like they'd been made with muddy hands. Some were up high, some were down low. Different sizes, different hands. They covered both doors, like people had been running their hands over the surface, searching for something, looking for a way in. I stood there in the morning light, staring at those prints, and my stomach turned over. How many people had been out there? How long had they been circling my truck before I woke up? And what would have happened if those doors hadn't been locked? I cleaned off the handprints before I left. Spent 20 minutes with a rag and some water, scrubbing until the metal was clean. But I couldn't scrub away the feeling, that sick, crawling sensation that I'd been seconds away from something terrible. I still drive that route, Denver to Chicago, have to, it's good money, but I never take that exit again, ever. I don't care how tired I am. I don't care if I'm falling asleep at the wheel. I'll drive until I hit a real rest stop, one with lights and people and witnesses. Because whatever was on that service road, in that empty lot in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska, they weren't people looking for help. They weren't travelers. They weren't homeless folks asking for change. They were something else, something that only comes out in the dark in forgotten places where no one's supposed to be. And they're still watching that road. Still waiting for the next driver who makes the same mistake I did. I know because I looked it up later. Searched online for incidents on that stretch of highway. Found some old forum posts from other truckers. Warnings, stories. Don't stop at mile marker 267. If you see an unmarked exit near the state line, keep driving. They wait in the dark. They want you to stop. I should have known better. After 12 years on the road, I should have trusted my gut when I saw that exit with no signs. But I was tired, and being tired makes you careless. Now I'm just grateful I woke up when I did. Grateful I got out of there, because I keep thinking about those handprints, about how many there were, about how they covered both doors like someone was desperately trying to find a way inside. And I keep thinking about that voice on the CB radio. You're not supposed to be here. They were right. I wasn't, and I never will be again. I travel for work a lot. Account management for a tech company, which means I'm flying out to client sites at least twice a month. Seattle, Portland, San Francisco, up and down the West Coast mostly. I'd parked in the same airport economy garage dozens of times. You know the type, long-term parking, cheaper than the main garage. A shuttle bus takes you to the terminal. Level 4, Section D was my usual spot. I'm weirdly particular about parking. Same level, same general area. Makes it easier to remember where I left the car when I get back. This time, I'd been in Portland for a week. Client meetings, presentations, the usual grind. My flight back to Seattle landed at 11:45 p.m. on a Sunday. Late enough that the airport was quiet. The garage was nearly empty. I took the shuttle from the terminal, got dropped off at level 4. My footsteps echoed on the concrete as I walked through the fluorescent-lit rows of cars. Most of the spots were empty at this hour. Just a few scattered vehicles left behind by other late-night travelers. I found my car, a gray Honda Accord. Nothing special. Right where I'd left it. Popped the trunk, loaded my suitcase and carry-on, slammed it shut. Everything seemed normal. I got into the driver's seat, tossed my purse on the passenger side, adjusted the rear-view mirror. That's when I felt it. Something was off. The seat position was different. I know that sounds crazy. I know most people wouldn't notice, but I'm particular about my seat position. I'm 5'4", and I keep the seat pulled forward at a very specific setting so I can reach the pedals comfortably. It's muscle memory at this point. The seat was pushed back, like someone taller had been sitting there. I told myself I was imagining things. Maybe I forgot. Maybe I'd adjusted it before I left and didn't remember. But even as I thought it, I knew it wasn't true. Then I smelled it. Cigarettes. Stale cigarette smoke and sweat. A smell that didn't belong in my car. I don't smoke. Never have. I don't let anyone smoke in my car. And this smell, it was strong. Recent. My hands started shaking. I turned around, looked in the back seat. My gym bag was there, unzipped. I always zip it, always. I'm obsessive about it because I don't want my workout clothes to smell up the car. Now it was open, and the contents looked disturbed, like someone had gone through it. I reached for the glove box with trembling fingers, popped it open. My registration was on top of the owner's manual. I always keep it underneath. Always. It's just the way I organize things. Someone had been in my car. Someone had gone through my things. I should have gotten out right then. Should have called security, called the police. But I was frozen. My brain was trying to process what this meant, trying to come up with a rational explanation. That's when I saw it. A piece of paper, folded, tucked into the sun visor on the driver's side. I almost didn't want to touch it. Almost drove straight out of there without looking. But something made me reach up and pull it down. My fingers were numb as I unfolded it. The handwriting was shaky, uneven, like it had been written quickly or by someone whose hands were trembling. You leave your car here a lot. I've been keeping it safe. You're welcome. My stomach dropped. Below that, there was a list. Dates. 6 of them, August 12th, August 24th, September 3rd, September 18th, September 29th, October 15th. I stared at those dates. My vision was swimming, because they were accurate. Those were the exact dates I'd parked in this garage over the last 3 months. Every single business trip. Someone had been watching me, tracking me, keeping a record. At the bottom of the note, in the same shaky handwriting, "See you next time." I couldn't breathe. The air in the car felt thick, suffocating. I dropped the note like it was burning my fingers. I didn't start the car, didn't touch anything else. I just grabbed my purse, got out, and walked as fast as I could toward the garage security office. My legs felt like rubber. Every shadow looked like a person. Every sound made me jump. The security office was on level 1 near the exit. A small room with glass windows and a bored-looking kid in his 20s sitting behind a desk, scrolling on his phone. I practically fell through the door. Someone's been in my car. Someone's been... He looked up, confused. "Ma'am, slow down. What happened?" I told him everything. The seat, the smell, the note, the dates. My voice was shaking so badly I could barely get the words out. He frowned, set down his phone. "Yeah, we've had a few reports. People saying their cars were broken into. Nothing stolen, just moved around. A few reports." I stared at him. "How many?" He shrugged. "Maybe 4 or 5 in the last couple months. We filed reports with airport police, but..." He gestured vaguely. "No cameras on level 4. They've been broken for like 6 months. Budget cuts or something." "You've had multiple break-ins and you haven't fixed the cameras." Another shrug. "I just work here, ma'am. I'm not in charge of that stuff." I wanted to scream. Instead, I showed him the note. He read it, his expression finally shifting to something that looked like actual concern. "Okay. Yeah, that's creepy. I'll file a report. Do you want me to walk you back to your car?" "Yes." The word came out more desperate than I meant it to. He grabbed a flashlight, like that would help, and walked me back to level 4. My car was still sitting there, driver's door open like I'd left it. "You want to check if anything's missing?" he asked. I didn't want to get near it, but I forced myself to look through the car while he stood there. Nothing was missing. Not my registration, not the spare change in the cup holder, not the gym bag contents. Whoever had been in my car didn't want to steal anything. They just wanted me to know they'd been there. The security guard waited while I got in, started the engine, and pulled out of the spot. I drove out of that garage doing about 30 miles an hour, way too fast for a parking structure. I didn't care. I never parked there again. Started using the main terminal garage, the expensive one, the one with cameras and security guards and actual patrols. For a few weeks, I told myself it was over, that whoever it was, they'd move on. Find someone else to whatever it was they were doing. But then it happened again. 2 months later, I was at a shopping mall in Tacoma. Different city, completely different place. I'd gone to pick up some things, parked in their garage, was inside for maybe an hour. When I came back to my car, something was different. There was an air freshener hanging from my rearview mirror. Vanilla scented, one of those little tree-shaped ones. I didn't put it there. I don't use air fresheners. They give me headaches. And here's the thing that made my blood run cold. It was the same brand, the same scent, as the smell I'd noticed in my car that night at the airport. Vanilla, covering up cigarette smoke. Someone had been in my car again, in a completely different garage, in a completely different city. They'd followed me. I didn't touch the air freshener. I drove straight to a police station, told them everything. They took a report, took the note I'd kept, took the air freshener as evidence. But what could they do? No cameras, no witnesses, no proof. Change your locks, the officer said. Change where you park, vary your routine. I did all of that. I sold the Accord 2 weeks later and bought a different car, a blue Nissan, changed the locks on my apartment, started parking in different places, different levels, never the same spot twice. It's been 4 months now. Nothing's happened since. No notes, no air fresheners, no signs that anyone's been in my car. But I still check. Every single time I get in my car, I check the seat position, I check the smell, I look in the back seat, I check the glove box. And sometimes, late at night, I wonder if they're still watching, still tracking, still keeping me safe. Because that's what the note said, wasn't it? I've been keeping it safe. Like they were doing me a favor. Like I should be grateful. But I'm not grateful. I'm terrified. Because whoever they are, they know where I park. They know my schedule. They know my car. And they're still out there somewhere, waiting for the next time. My girlfriend Amanda and I were driving from Boston to Florida for vacation. It was our first big road trip together. 2 weeks in the Keys, just relaxing and forgetting about our jobs and stress and everything. We'd been on the road for about 12 hours, switching off driving every few hours. By the time we hit Virginia, it was after midnight and we were both exhausted. We should stop, Amanda said from the passenger seat. Her voice was tired. We're going to crash if we keep going. She was right. My eyes were burning. I'd nearly drifted into the other lane twice in the last hour. We needed to rest. I saw a rest stop sign, 2 miles ahead, right off I-95. One of those standard highway rest stops with bathrooms and vending machines and parking areas. There, I said. We'll sleep for a few hours, then keep going in the morning. The rest stop was moderately busy when we pulled in. Not packed, but not empty either. A few cars scattered through the lot, 2 semi-trucks parked in the designated truck area, an RV near the far end. I pulled into a spot near the main building, under one of the overhead lights. We were surrounded by other vehicles. It felt safe. Public. You want the back seat or you staying up front? I asked Amanda. I'll take the back. More room to curl up. We locked all the doors, cracked the windows slightly for air. Amanda climbed into the back seat with her travel pillow. I reclined the driver's seat as far as it would go. Set an alarm for 5, she mumbled, already half asleep. Got it. I closed my eyes. The sound of distant traffic on the highway was almost soothing. I was asleep within minutes. I don't know what time it was when Amanda woke me up. Tyler. Her voice was urgent. Scared. Tyler, wake up. I jerked awake, confused. What? What's wrong? I have to pee. I'm sorry. I tried to wait, but I really have to go. I blinked, trying to orient myself. It was still dark outside. Okay, yeah, I'll go with you. We'd talked about this before the trip. Never going to rest, stop bathrooms alone at night. Always together. Just safer that way. I grabbed my phone. 3:37 a.m. We got out of the car, Amanda stretching and yawning. The parking lot was quieter now. Most of the cars we'd seen earlier were gone. The 2 trucks were still there, the RV and a few other vehicles scattered around, and a white van. Parked about 3 spots away from us. Was that there before? Amanda asked, noticing it too. I didn't remember seeing it. I don't know. Maybe. Something about it bothered me, though. The side door was slightly open. Just a crack, like someone had closed it, but it hadn't latched properly. As we walked past it toward the bathroom building, Amanda glanced inside. She stopped walking, grabbed my arm. What? I asked. Look inside. I looked. The van was completely empty except for a single plastic chair bolted to the floor in the center. And on the chair's arms, I could see thick zip ties, heavy-duty ones, the kind you can't break. My stomach turned over. Let's go, now. We walked faster toward the bathroom building. When I glanced back at the van, the side door was closed. I hadn't heard it close. Hadn't seen anyone near it, but it was closed. The bathroom building was bright, too bright after the darkness of the parking lot. Fluorescent lights humming and buzzing, white tile walls that amplified every sound. We were alone in there. Amanda went into the women's restroom. I waited outside, pacing. That's when I noticed the bulletin board. It was mounted on the wall near the entrance, one of those cork boards with community announcements and travel information. But what caught my eye were the missing persons flyers. There were at least 7 of them, all different people, different ages, different genders, but they all had one thing in common. Last seen somewhere along the I-95 corridor, all within the last 2 years. I pulled out my phone, took pictures of the flyers. My hands were shaking. Amanda came out of the bathroom. Ready. I showed her the flyers. Her face went pale. We need to leave, she whispered. Right now. We didn't say anything else. Just walked back toward our car, faster this time, almost jogging. The white van was gone. Our car looked untouched, normal. I unlocked it, we climbed in, and I immediately started the engine. Just drive, Amanda said. Don't stop until we're in another state. I pulled out of the spot, heading toward the exit that would merge us back onto I-95. That's when Amanda grabbed my shoulder. Tyler, the van. I looked in the rear-view mirror. The white van was parked on the other side of the lot, backed into a spot facing us. Headlights off, but I could see a silhouette in the driver's seat, just sitting there, watching. I hit the gas, pulling onto the exit ramp. The van didn't move, but as soon as we merged onto the highway, I saw it in the mirror again, pulling out, following. They're following us, Amanda said, her voice tight with panic. I accelerated, 65, 70, 80. The van matched our speed, stayed exactly 3 car lengths behind us, not gaining, not falling back. What do we do? Amanda asked. I don't know. My knuckles were white on the steering wheel. Call 911. She fumbled for her phone, dialed. There's no signal. Tyler, there's no signal. I glanced at my phone in the cup holder. No bars. Out here in rural Virginia, coverage was spotty at best. We were alone on the highway. No other cars, just us and the van. 85 miles an hour. 90. The van kept pace. This went on for what felt like forever. Amanda was crying silently in the passenger seat, her phone clutched in her hand, waiting for signal. Then, as we crossed the state line into North Carolina, the van suddenly slowed down. I watched in the mirror as it took an exit, disappearing from view. "They're gone," I said. "They're gone." Amanda turned around, looking out the back window. "Why did they stop?" "I don't know. I don't care. They're gone." We didn't stop again until we hit South Carolina, pulled into a busy gas station right at sunrise, surrounded by other cars and people and normal morning travelers. I was pumping gas, hands still shaking, when Amanda called me over to the car. "Look at this," she said, holding her phone. She'd Googled I-95 rest stop Virginia incidents while I was outside. The search results made my blood run cold. Multiple articles about a suspected human trafficking ring operating along the I-95 corridor. Several witnesses had reported white vans. People disappearing from rest stops. No arrests, no concrete proof. Just warnings and suspicions and unsolved cases. I looked at the pictures she'd taken of the missing persons flyers. 7 faces staring back at me. "We need to report this," I said. "Report what? That a van followed us? That we saw a chair with zip ties? We don't even have a license plate." She was right. What could we prove? We'd been followed, sure. But they didn't do anything, didn't attack us, didn't try to run us off the road. They just watched and followed and then left. We continued the drive to Florida in silence. Neither of us wanted to talk about it. Didn't want to process what might have happened if we'd stayed at that rest stop longer. If we'd gone to our car separately instead of together. If we'd been alone. But I keep thinking about something. When I'd gone to use the bathroom while Amanda was in the women's room, I'd glanced at the stall walls and scratched into the metal door, barely visible. Someone had written, "They wait in white vans. Don't sleep here." I didn't tell Amanda about that. Didn't want to scare her more than she already was. But I think about it every day. Someone else had seen them. Someone else had been watched. And they'd tried to warn people. How many others had there been? How many people stopped at that rest stop and never left? How many of those faces on the bulletin board had made the same mistake we almost did? Parking overnight, falling asleep, unaware that someone was watching them in the darkness. We made it to Florida, had our vacation, tried to enjoy ourselves. But on the drive back, we took I-75, added 3 hours to our trip just to avoid that stretch of I-95. And we never, ever stopped at a rest stop again. Not at night, not alone, not ever. Because we know what's out there now. We know what's waiting in the darkness, in those empty parking lots off the highway. And we know how close we came to becoming 2 more faces on a bulletin board. I run a small YouTube channel, nothing big, maybe 15,000 subscribers. I document abandoned places, dead malls, closed hospitals, forgotten amusement parks, that kind of thing. Most people think it's creepy. And yeah, it is. But there's something fascinating about places that used to be full of life and now just sit there, rotting, like time capsules of a world that's moved on. I'd heard about this mall outside Detroit, closed for 8 years. One of those massive 80s malls that used to be the center of the community. 3 department stores, a food court, a movie theater. Now it was just an empty shell waiting to be demolished. I drove out on a Saturday evening, arrived just before sunset. The parking lot was enormous. Cracked asphalt, weeds growing through every gap, rusted light poles standing like dead sentinel. The mall itself looked like a corpse. Broken windows, faded signs, graffiti covering the walls. perfect for filming. I grabbed my camera and flashlight and spent the next few hours inside documenting everything. The empty storefronts with their metal gates. The food court with tables still bolted to the floor. The movie theater with seats ripped out and ceiling tiles hanging down. It was eerie. Sure. But I'd done this dozens of times. I wasn't scared. Just focused on getting good footage. By the time I finished, it was almost midnight. I was exhausted, covered in dust, my feet aching from walking on broken tile and debris. The smart thing would have been to drive home, but home was 2 hours away and I could barely keep my eyes open. I made a decision. I'd sleep in my car for a few hours, then drive home in the morning. I walked back out to the parking lot. It was completely empty now, just my car, a silver Subaru, parked near the old main entrance. I'd left it under one of the light poles, though the light wasn't working anymore. I got in, locked the doors, reclined the seat, set an alarm for 5 a.m. The silence out there was absolute. No traffic, no sounds, just darkness and the distant outline of dead buildings. I was asleep almost immediately. When I woke up, something was wrong. I opened my eyes and the first thing I noticed was the angle. Everything looked different. Wrong. I sat up, looked around. My heart started pounding. I wasn't where I'd parked. My car was in the far corner of the lot now, at least 200 yards from where I'd originally parked. Backed into a spot between two other cars that hadn't been there before. Both empty, both old, at least 15 years, maybe older. Covered in dust and pollen and bird droppings, like they'd been sitting there for weeks, months. My keys were still in the cup holder, doors still locked from the inside. I hadn't sleepwalked. That's not possible. You can't sleepwalk and drive a car. That's not how it works. But my car had moved. Somehow, while I was sleeping, my hands were shaking as I started the engine. The dashboard. Clock read 4:47 a.m., still dark outside. I needed to get out of there. Now. I threw the car into reverse, pulled out of the spot. My headlights swept across the pavement as I turned toward the mall entrance. That's when I saw them. Tire tracks, fresh ones, in the dirt and debris covering the asphalt, leading from where I'd originally parked to where I'd woken up, but only one set of tracks. Only going one direction, like my car had been pushed or pulled, not driven. My stomach lurched. I hit the gas, speeding toward the exit. My phone buzzed. A text message. I almost didn't look, almost just kept driving, but something made me glance down. Unknown number. You shouldn't film here. We moved you somewhere safer. My blood turned to ice. Another text came through immediately. Check your footage. I grabbed my camera from the passenger seat with one hand, still driving with the other, fumbled with the buttons, brought up the last video file. The timestamp showed I'd stopped recording at 11:47 p.m. That was right. That was when I'd left the mall. But there was another file, recorded at 2:33 a.m. I didn't record anything at 2:33 a.m. I was asleep. I pulled over near the exit, car still running, and opened the file. The video started playing on the camera's small screen. It was footage of me, asleep in my car, shot from outside the driver's side window. The camera moved slowly, circling the car. I could hear footsteps on the pavement. Breathing. Someone breathing right next to the microphone. The video was 4 minutes long. 4 minutes of someone standing there, filming me while I slept, walking around my car, watching me. The video ended with the camera lowering, pointing at the ground, then footsteps walking away. I was going to be sick. I dropped the camera, grabbed my phone, texted back to the unknown number. Who are you? 3 dots appeared. They were typing. Then, security. We patrol the property. You were parked in an unsafe area. We moved you. How did you move my car? Tow strap? quietly. Didn't want to wake you. None of this made sense. The mall had been closed for 8 years. There was no security, no patrols. "I'm leaving," I typed. "Don't contact me again." No response. I put the car in drive and got the hell out of there. I drove straight home, didn't stop once. When I got there, I uploaded the footage, everything except that video of me sleeping. I deleted that file, couldn't stand to look at it. I posted the mall video to my channel with a caption, "I don't know what happened. I don't want to know." The comments started coming in within hours. Other urban explorers, people who'd been to that same mall. "Dude, someone moved my car too. I thought I was going crazy." I woke up with my keys missing, found them on the mall roof. I saw people in security uniforms walking the lot at 3 a.m. The mall's been closed for years. Whatever you do, don't go back at night. I never planned to, but here's the thing. Every few months, I get another text from that same unknown number. Always the same message. "Still watching." That's it. Nothing else. Just those 2 words. The last one came 3 days ago. I haven't been back to that mall, haven't filmed another abandoned property since. Because whoever they are, whatever they are, they're still out there. Still watching. Still patrolling. And they know who I am. They have my number. They have my footage. Sometimes I wonder if they're watching me right now, if they've been following me, if they know where I live. And sometimes, late at night, I check my phone, check for those 2 words. Still watching. I know they'll text again. They always do. And when they do, I'll remember what it felt like to wake up in a different place. To see those tire tracks, to watch that video of myself sleeping while someone circled my car in the darkness. I'll remember that I'm never really alone, because somewhere out there, they're still watching. Some say the scariest stories are the ones that could really happen, the ones where you're just trying to sleep, just trying to make it through the night, and something finds you in the darkness. These 5 people learned that the hard way, and now they can never park overnight again without remembering what was outside, what was watching, what was waiting. Thanks for listening. If you made it through to the end, you're braver than most. And if you're ever parked somewhere overnight, alone in the dark, remember, you can't see what's outside, but they can always see it. Lock your doors. Stay aware. And maybe think twice about that empty lot, because you never know who's watching or what they want. Sweet dreams.